In this video we're going to install the scope rings and the rear iron sight. So I had found when mounting the scope with the scope rings that came with it that there was not enough clearance underneath the scope in order to have the rear sight installed. So I had ordered the Magpul backup sights. They have a little bit of a lower profile than the Midwest sight that was on there originally. So I'm going to install these new scope rings made by they're the Maxima series steel rings, ultra high version, so they'll give me a little bit more lift than what I have on there right now. Hopefully will give me enough room to get the backup sight on the rear. They're a little bit heavy, actually, a little heavier than I would like. Once I get these on there, I'll see which one I like better, if I want to stick with the Magpul or just put the Midwest back on there. These are the Magpul backup sights that I ordered. I'm just going to be using the rear one. We'll get into why I ended up having to leave that front post sight on. I'll get into that in a later video. Now here's the rear sight. And as you can see, it's pretty low profile. This is the Midwest rear sight that was on there originally, and as you can see, there's a significant difference in the height of the two. If I can fit the Midwest on there, I'll probably just stick with that, and then I can send the Magpul back and reclaim a little bit of money here. So here you can see that there really isn't that much room right now between the scope and the rails. I can barely fit my finger under there, and especially with this lens protector in place, there's not a lot of space. So I'm going to install those larger rings, give myself a little bit more lift, and see how that works out. There is about a 1/4 inch difference in height between the two sets of rings. That took a little bit longer than I thought it was going to. If you look at the scope mount, it has 6 Allen keys on it, 4 on the base and 2 up top. When you're mounting the scope, there's a crossbar in the bottom that lines up with the rails, and it just kind of sits in there and gets tightened by these quick release handles here, which you can actually, once you're done, you can pull up and reposition them wherever you want to keep them. But the little bar will fall out a little bit if you're not careful. So what I suggest doing if you use this type of a mount is you tighten up these bottom two just to snug enough that that bar is going to stay in place while you position your scope on here. Make sure you have these spaced properly to the point where those little bars are going to line up in the rails and on your scope in the correct position before you go ahead and tighten the rest of the keys. And of course you want to make sure your scope is straight. Tried the Midwest, and it just barely, not quite enough of a rise for that to fit there, even with this ultra high mount. This would fit under here, but one thing, this here, be careful about ordering things on the internet because they're not always what they say they are, and this is designed for a rail system that has a smaller width than this. There's no way that it's just not going to fit on there. So we'll be sending this back, and I'll be just ordering just one, just the rear sight for that. Lesson learned again. Maybe I'll just go to a shop so I know what I'm getting. The scope's mounted on there. It's nice and high. The Magpul backup sight will work on there, assuming I get one with the right size. So that's that.